The revolving doors of Valamont Industries spun like the gears of a machine that never stopped. Manhattan's morning rush hummed just beyond the glass walls, but inside the lobby everything gleamed. Marble floors, chrome columns, and people in expensive suits who didn't make eye contact unless they absolutely had to. Imani Brooks, 32, stood near the entrance, her heels silent against the polished stone. Her dark blue suit was crisp, professional. The leather of her portfolio was worn in the way only long-earned things could be. In her hands, her resume, her record, her shot. She had a 10 Halber's a.m. appointment with the HR director of Valamont, one of the top tech and data analytics firms in the country. A dream job. A shot she'd earned not once, but dozens of times over, through late nights, 2 patents, and a full scholarship to MIT. So when the security guard didn't even glance at her before saying, "Deliveries go around back, ma'am," something inside her curled inward. She straightened gently, voice calm. "I'm not making a delivery. I'm here for a meeting. HR, 47th floor. The name's Brooks, Imani Brooks." The guard gave her a long look, not the respectful kind. He checked his clipboard, scanned the list, scanned her face again. His frown deepened. "You sure you got the right building?" Behind him, suited employees breezed through scanners, badges flashing. No one asked them where they were going. "I'm sure," she said. "Scheduled with Sylvia Kwan. I'm 10 minutes early." He looked again. "Wait here," he grumbled, stepping away. Imani waited, her fingers tightening slightly around her portfolio. She'd dealt with this before. Polite doubt, gatekeeping with a smile, invisible walls made of assumptions. Then she noticed the man sitting on the bench beneath the spiral sculpture in the center of the lobby. His head was bowed, hands gripping his knees, like the weight of the world was collapsing in on him. He was older, mid-40s, salt and pepper hair. Navy suit creased like he'd been sitting there a while. His eyes were red-rimmed when they flicked up and met hers. No one else saw him. They walked past him like he was a statue. Imani took a step forward, then another. She didn't know why. Maybe because pain has a frequency. Maybe because it takes one kind of invisible person to see another. She stopped in front of him, gently crouching to his eye level. "Sometimes," she said softly, "you just need to breathe in and out. That's all. Just one breath at a time." The man blinked at her, startled. Vulnerability warred with confusion in his eyes. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. At that moment, 2 security guards, different from the first, approached fast. Their steps were heavy, purposeful, alarms in suits. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to step away," one said sharply. "She's fine," the man said, voice raspy. "Sir," the other guard said, hesitating. She approached you. We didn't know if—" "I said she's fine." There was a flicker of recognition now in the guard's eyes, and then fear. "Mr. Halden," one of them said quickly, "we didn't realize—" Imani rose slowly, hands still at her sides. She wasn't intimidated, just calm, grounded. The man stood too, full height now, stronger posture, a shift in the air. Chase Halden, CEO of Valamont Industries, billionaire, visionary, the man on every business magazine for the last decade. "Did I ask her name?" he said aloud, as if realizing it in real time. "It's Imani," she replied. "Imani Brooks. I just thought you looked like you needed a quiet moment." Silence. Then, "Why are you here?" "I have an interview," she said, holding up the portfolio. "Analytics division, data systems, and AI modeling." He held out his hand. She hesitated, then gave him the folder. He opened it, read, MIT, 2014, summa cum laude. 2 patents in dynamic resource learning, 5 years at Argonne Technologies, developed forecasting models that saved $18 million over 3 quarters. He looked up, blinked, looked again. Then he turned to the guards. His voice was ice. "Would you have stopped her if she looked like you?" Neither answered. Their silence said enough. "I asked you a question," Chase said, louder this time. "Would you have assumed she was delivering food if she was blonde and wearing Chanel?" Still nothing. "Get out of my lobby and send HR a message. We have a systemic issue." The guards walked off, one muttering into his headset. Chase turned back to Imani. "What would you do, Miss Brooks," he asked, "if you were sitting in my chair?" She didn't blink, didn't flinch. "I'd start by removing the people who believe dignity can be judged by fabric or skin tone," she said. For the first time that day, Chase Halden smiled. It wasn't a big smile, just enough to shift the weight on his shoulders. "You're not like most people who walk through these doors," he said. "I noticed," she replied. "Are you free tonight?" he asked. "I was going to say dinner, but I have a feeling that's not your style." "Only if we're reviewing Q3 earnings and your user retention architecture," she said, with a raised brow. He laughed. "Fair enough." As an assistant hurried over to usher Imani toward the elevators, whispers started spreading in the lobby. Someone had filmed the exchange. Phones were already buzzing. But Imani didn't look back. The elevator doors opened, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like she was breaking into someone else's world. She was stepping into her own. The elevator glided upward, smooth and silent. 47 floors above the city, the view would be incredible. But Imani Brooks wasn't here for scenery. She was still gripping her portfolio as if it were armor. Around her, the chrome walls reflected the faint tremble in her shoulders. Adrenaline, pride, fury, and something else she hadn't yet named. When the doors opened, she was met by a woman in sleek heels and a pencil skirt, Sylvia Kwan, head of talent for Valamont Industries. "Ms. Brooks," Sylvia said, voice cool and clipped. "We weren't expecting you until 10. "I was early," Imani replied calmly, stepping out. Sylvia's eyes flicked briefly toward the HR assistant hovering beside her. "Yes, well, Mr. Halden has requested we proceed immediately. Please, this way." The floor was hushed. Quiet carpets, glass-walled offices, people tapping on sleek touchscreens, voices muted as if the building itself had absorbed too much pressure to let anyone breathe too loud. They entered a boardroom, wide, with a view of the Hudson. Chase Halden was already there, seated at the head of the table. His jacket was gone now, sleeves rolled slightly, like he was trying to appear relaxed. But his eyes gave him away. Still red, still tired, still searching. Sylvia opened her mouth to speak, but Chase raised one hand. "I'll take it from here." Sylvia froze. "Sir, with all due respect—" "I said I've got it." His tone left no room for interpretation. She nodded stiffly. turned, and left. Imani sat across from him, not at the far end, just across. "I owe you an apology," Chase said after a long moment, "for what happened downstairs." "You don't," she said. "It wasn't you who tried to remove me." "No," he admitted, "but it was my building, my company, and my culture, whether I want to admit it or not." He looked down for a moment, then back at her. "I wasn't crying because of you," he said, "or the guards, or even the board meeting I just walked out of." "You don't have to explain," she replied. "I want to." He ran a hand through his hair, the composed CEO cracking again. "My sister passed away last week, unexpectedly. She was 38, brilliant, strong. She wanted to apply here once, didn't even get past the screening." Imani felt her chest tighten. "She told me once," Chase said, "that the smartest people she knew never made it through the lobby, that we built a fortress and then wondered why we never discovered new voices." Imani's eyes didn't waver. She wasn't wrong. Chase nodded. "When I saw you speaking to me, not pitying me, not recoiling, just being present, something hit me. And then the guards tried to erase it like it wasn't supposed to exist. And I realized they didn't see you, but she would have." Silence. He opened her resume again, reading lines he'd already memorized. "I didn't know people like you still applied here," he said finally. "People like me?" she asked sharply. "I mean people who are overqualified and still get treated like second-rate support staff." Imani's expression softened just slightly. "I didn't come here to teach a lesson. I came here for a job." "You may have done both." Chase leaned forward, elbows on the table. "You listed a lot of achievements on this paper," he said, tapping her resume. "But what would you say is your greatest skill?" "Pattern recognition," Imani answered, "in code, in data, and in people." "And what do you see when you look at me?" She paused. Her voice was measured. "A man who's built an empire out of numbers, but who never really questioned who he built it for. Until today." That landed like a weight between them. He let out a dry laugh. Harsh, but not wrong. "I've been in boardrooms before," Imani said, "usually as a silent observer, sometimes as the only woman, almost always as the only black person. You know what that teaches you?" "What?" "How to disappear in plain sight." Chase sat back, his eyes searching hers. "You don't disappear, Imani?" "Not anymore." She folded her hands. "That depends. What are you going to do about it?" He stood suddenly, walked to the window. The city stretched below, a grid of ambition, profit, and blind spots. "I built this company with a vision," he said, "but maybe my vision was too narrow, too safe, too white." She said nothing. "I want to offer you a position, not in analytics," he added, "in strategy, direct advisory to the executive team. You'd have a seat at the table." Imani raised an eyebrow. "Just like that?" "I don't offer things lightly, but I also don't ignore proof when it's standing in front of me." She looked at him, long and hard. "Then I have a condition." "Name it." "You fire the guards who tried to remove me, not because I care about an apology, but because they'll do it again, to someone without a resume like mine." Chase nodded slowly. "Agreed. And one more thing," she added. He turned. "Yes?" "Don't use me as a press story. I'm not your redemption arc." He smiled at that. No press, no LinkedIn posts, just change, quiet, hard, and real. She stood. He extended his hand. "Welcome to Valemount, Miss Brooks." She shook it, and just like that, the air shifted again. Downstairs, phones were still buzzing. The footage from the lobby was already on its way to becoming viral. The woman who interrupted the CEO's breakdown. The woman who stood her ground. The woman who reminded the world what respect looks like. But Imani didn't care about viral. She cared about impact. And tomorrow, she'd start rewriting the rules from the 47th floor. The view from the 47th floor was breathtaking. But Imani Brooks didn't come to Valemount Industries for the view. She stood at the glass window of her new office, smaller than Chase Halden's, but higher than any room she'd ever worked in, and watched the city below buzz like circuitry. Energy pulsed in every block, like code running across a screen. She understood it now. The hunger, the velocity, the illusion of progress. Behind her, a small team was waiting. People from the strategy unit she had been assigned to lead. It was her second week, and already things had started to shift. But not just for her. "Morning, Miss Brooks," said Jalen, the youngest member of her team, clutching a coffee and a tablet. "The models you asked for are up. Q3 predictive metrics, revenue by vertical, and customer churn heat maps." "Thanks, Jalen," she said. "Send the churn breakdown to legal. There's something baked into the retention clauses that doesn't sit right with me." He blinked. "Already? You just saw them." She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Her eyes had already memorized the patterns. At 11 Rao a.m., the entire 47th floor gathered in the central glass atrium. It was unusual for Chase Halden to call a meeting. More unusual still was that it wasn't about profits or KPIs. Imani stood to the side as Chase addressed his staff. No podium, no microphone, just presence. "I built this company," he began, "on a foundation of ideas, data, insight, innovation." A beat. "But I forgot something critical. Innovation doesn't start with algorithms. It doesn't start with code. It starts with people, with humanity." The silence was thick. Everyone listened. "2 weeks ago, I made a mistake," he said. "I judged someone by their appearance, or rather, I didn't, but my company did. My lobby did. My guards did. My systems did." He turned, gesturing toward Imani. "And I almost lost the sharpest mind to walk through our doors in years." Eyes turned. Imani stayed still. Chase continued. "Effective today, we are changing our recruitment protocols. We are auditing every hiring bias, every access barrier, every blind spot that's been baked into our culture. Because we don't hire resumes. We hire character." He paused. "And character doesn't always look like a 3-piece suit and a Stanford ring." The room remained quiet, contemplative. Then came a single clap, then 2, then a wave. Not out of obligation, but out of recognition. Later that day, a photo quietly appeared on Valemount's website. Imani standing by a whiteboard, surrounded by her team, mid-discussion. The caption read, "Innovation begins with humanity. No hashtags, no press releases, just the truth." But that wasn't all. The security guards from the lobby were put through a mandatory anti-bias retraining program. One of them, the older one who'd told her to use the delivery entrance, requested a private meeting. Imani agreed. He stood awkwardly in front of her desk, hat in hand. "Miss Brooks," he began, "I owe you an apology, not just for that day, for all the days like it." She nodded, said nothing. "I've worked here 12 years," he added, "seen a lot of people walk in and out. But I never thought about the ones I didn't see, or the ones I ignored." Imani's voice was even. "You saw me. You just didn't recognize me." He swallowed hard. "That won't happen again." It was enough. Not everything, but enough. That evening, as she was preparing to leave, Chase stopped by her office. "You really meant what you said," he said, leaning against the doorframe, "about firing people who judge by appearance." "I meant all of it," she replied, not looking up from her screen. He smiled. "You scared the hell out of legal with your notes on the acquisition model. They think you found a flaw we missed in Q2. "I didn't miss it," she said dryly. "They did." Chase chuckled. "So, dinner this time? No pitch decks, no spreadsheets." She glanced at him, considering. "You sure you can handle a conversation that doesn't involve projections?" "I'll risk it." She stood, gathering her coat. "Fine, but you're paying, and I want the corner table." He grinned. "Deal." As they rode the elevator down together, no one said much, but the silence wasn't awkward. It was peace, earned. The next morning, a short video clip, taken by a lobby camera, quietly surfaced online. It showed Imani kneeling beside a broken man in a suit, offering no solutions, just breath. Then showed that same man standing beside her, defending her dignity. The internet reacted fast. She changed the company by simply seeing the human behind the title. Black brilliance meets billionaire blind spot, and wins. No protest, no speech, just respect, and a resume that shut down every excuse. The clip went viral. But Imani wasn't on social media that day. She was standing again at the window of the 47th floor, watching the city, thinking, not about power or justice or even visibility, but about value, her own, and how, for the first time, she didn't need to prove it. She just needed to be in the room. And now she was.